When Lori Orlinsky's daughter was in preschool, she was bullied by the other kids for being small, and Lori knew what that was like. She's 5'1", and she's been small her whole life, so she decided to write a children's book. It's called Being Small Isn't So Bad After All, and she and her daughter Hayley join us this morning. Nice to see you both.
Hi. Good morning.
Don't you look beautiful?
Thanks.
How old are you, Hayley?
6.
6 years old. So people used to bully you for being tiny?
Yeah.
You're kidding. Kids just say mean things? Oh, and I bet you went home and told your mom. And your mom, what did you say to her?
So they had hung a growth chart in her classroom, and all the kids were at the top in the middle of the growth chart, and Hayley's name was all the way at the bottom. So for her, every time she went in her classroom, she felt like she was the worst because she was at the bottom. So she told me about it, and like any good mom, I went to Barnes & Noble, I went to Amazon, and I tried to find a book about small kids, and there wasn't any. Not only was there not a book about small kids, but there were books about kids with superpowers precisely because they were tall. So I have a journalism background, and I decided, well, let me write a book about it. And that's, how Being Small Isn't So Bad After All was born.
Is that you on the cover there, Hayley?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And so what's the crux of the books? What is the connection you're trying to make for anyone being bullied?
So absolutely. So the book, our scenario is, the book is about a kid that's short, and she doesn't want to go to school because she's the shortest kid in class. And the mom kind of flips the switch and says, well, here are the things that make you special because you're short. For example, you're the last one to get wet when it rains, and you get the most legroom when we fly in a plane. And these are things that my mom told me. And you can take this scenario, the lesson in it is about self-acceptance, and you can flip it for tall, you can flip it for skin color, you can flip it for hair color, for sexuality. There's so many scenarios that you could sub yourself in and say, I'm different because.
So is this, since this book came out, what do the kids think? They must think it's a pretty big deal. You're on the cover of a book.
Yeah.
Right? And does this happen anymore? I thought you have a pretty good story about something that happened on the playground, right?
Yeah.
What happened? Can you tell us?
Well, and now I can squeeze and little places, monkey ball places that other kids can't fit into.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the benefits of being small, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the kids like your picture on the front of that book, too? It's pretty. It's very pretty.
School going better for you?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
I'm still being bullied, but I get to deal with it. It's easier to deal with it
Should
now.
we say their kids' names on TV right now? No? All right. Well,
And I think
doesn't know what he's
her
done.
mindset's changed too. Even though kids pick on her for being short, she also says, well, I get the best hide and seek spots, and I'm the last one to get wet when it rains. And she likes being in the front and center in class pictures, and so she says some of these examples from the book.
You forget that, you don't think of being tiny because you think of all first graders being tiny, but you forget anything that makes you a little bit different at any age is something that a kid will find a way to bully you about.
Absolutely, and it's a microaggression, so it's not full-blown bullying, but this is the time where kids can go into that fight or flight mode, and I wanted Hayley, her personality to develop, and I wanted her to embrace being small, so I think this book really helped her.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and you
Keep
got a
up the
great
good work.
smile.
Look at her.
Look at you sitting here.
You got the world together, I'm telling you. I was not that together when I was in first grade, let me tell you.
He was a real moron back then.
And when people bully you and call you other names, what do you tell them?
I tell them to stop.
That's what you do, right? You tell your mom and you tell people to just stop, right?
Yeah.
And this also leads to a nice, important conversation about being bullied in a way that doesn't feel forced.
Did you ever feel the need to call their parents and say, hey, your kid's being a jerk?
Oh, trust me, there's so many times I wanted to, but it's all about teaching kids the right way.
Because some parents want to know, some parents don't. Have you done that?
I've pulled parents aside in the past in a nice way and said, hey, I think there's something going on that we might want to talk about. But trust me, there's been times I had to go tight-lipped at the playground.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because sometimes you think, am I going to make it worse? Is that, it's such a weird line to walk, but
It really is.
well, thanks so much for coming in. Hayley, you did a great job. It's so nice meeting you, honey.
Thank you
Well,
for having me.
Oh,
You can come back anytime. You don't have to have a book.
no, you can come back anytime. Maybe review some
co-host?
movies, do whatever. Anyway.
You would be the most likable person on this set.
She already is. The book, again, is called Being Small Isn't So Bad After All. You can
In a terrorist attack on a Kenyan airfield. Army Specialist Henry Mayfield Jr. was one of